Meet Adriana Mosley, a resilient young woman hailing from the esteemed alphas of Luna Lake Pack in Montana. Having endured the brutalities inflicted by human hunter groups, Adriana emerged as a symbol of defiance, having escaped captivity and thwarted the nefarious schemes of her oppressors. Yet, as the shadows of the past resurface, she finds herself embroiled in a new conflict, where the safety of her family hangs in the balance. Enter Evander Arconium, alpha of the Arconium pack in Alaska, and scion of the revered dragon lineage. As a hybrid with a formidable dragon companion named Argon, Evander navigates the intricate politics of the shifter world, all while yearning for the elusive mate destined to stand by his side. With tensions escalating and his kin in peril, Evander must confront the daunting task of protecting his realm, while seeking out the one who holds the key to his heart.
Chapter 1. They Took Our Father.
My name is Adriana Mosley. My father is Abram, alpha of Luna Lake. My mother died when I was in captivity by the human hunters. My younger brother Xander is 14 and will be alpha when he reaches his majority. I have been home 8 months, after spending 5 years being a test subject for the humans. I was trapped in an underground facility with over 100 others. Different species: fairies, witches, elves, a couple werecats and werebears as well. The only species they didn't have is a dragon. Apparently, they're not easy to abduct. They are the strongest shifters. Well, before I was taken, I am now a hybrid. I was drugged and injected with DNA from every species. Because I was the only one to survive every test, I became stronger, more powerful than the humans could imagine. They would spend hours torturing me, trying to make me angry enough to test my strength. What humans do not know about shifters can fill an entire library. The calm and loving nature of a fairy, the forgiving and kind nature of an elf, counteract the murderous instincts of a wolf or a bear. On a particularly heinous torture experience, I allowed my shifter nature full reign and broke through my restraints, tearing through the doctors, the technicians, the researchers in the entire lab. I released the last surviving shifters and then destroyed everything in the building before setting everything on fire, completely gutting the entire place. Then I asked the earth to collapse the underground building and fill it in. I led the 14 survivors out of the forest and made sure they each were returned to their homes before I made my way back to Luna Lake. My homecoming was bittersweet. My father and brother welcomed me with open arms, but my mother was gone. She had passed away a year before my escape. The pack was unsure of me. People I had known my whole life shunned me for being different. The friends I had were strangers and not interested in rekindling a relationship with me because I was tainted. I looked different. My scent has changed. My once white blonde hair was now laced with the blue of the fairy, the red of a witch, and the purple of the elf. My eyes were now the result of heterochromia, one blue, one green, with purple starbursts around the pupils. What they didn't see, or care to find out, is my heart remained the same. I am the exact same person inside that I was the last time they had seen me at 13. It hurt me more than anything the humans had ever done, even when my blood burned me from inside out, even when my muscles contracted and reshaped, or wings were forced up and out of my shoulder blades. In the last 8 months, I built a wall, a huge concrete wall, surrounding my heart, impenetrable and impassable. Unless I let you in, there are only 2 people who live there: my father and my brother. 3 weeks ago, our pack was attacked. 200 armed hunters raised our walls, killing, maiming their way through. I killed over 50 of them, and now I am on the hunt. The pack blames me for the attack, having convinced themselves the hunters were after me, causing us to lose 60 pack, all dead. I have been told I should never have come home. I should have died. Andrew, Daddy's beta, has been goddess sent. He has stepped up to help me take care of the pack. I have sent trackers out. I have gone out hunting nearly every night. Many times I go alone. The warriors don't trust me either. They're afraid of me. Again, this is where they have succeeded in shattering my heart. They believe I am not affected by the deaths of our pack. More importantly, they have made me feel like I shouldn't be bothered by it at all. They couldn't be more wrong. I just refuse to allow them to see my pain. They are entitled to their opinions, but they are judgmental and have no idea the things I have seen, the things I have experienced. My brother and I are both suffering in silence, only finding comfort in each other. After all, the hunters took something precious to both of us. They took our father.
Chapter 2. Besides, you're my mate.
Adriana stood at the witness podium in front of the shifter council, waiting to address them. Councilman Jerry Hicks, a wolf, tells her to state her business. She cleared her throat. Looking at each member, she had a clear view of 11 men. A 12th man sat in the corner, away from the others, and she couldn't see him as the shadows of the room didn't allow it. She spoke into the microphone. Gentlemen, I am Adriana Mosley. My father is the alpha of our pack, Luna Lake. 3 weeks ago, our pack was attacked by hunters. They killed 60 of our people and abducted my father. I am here today to ask the council for aid. I have searched diligently over grids of land, trying to locate him, but have come up empty. My trackers are not skilled enough to be able to pick up the trail after 100 miles. As much as it pains me, I must ask for assistance. Our statutes read it is council's duty to provide aid to any and all packs in times of need. I am invoking my right as acting alpha to request that help. The council whispered amongst themselves a minute, then asked Adriana to step into the hallway while they confer. She walked out into the corridor and found a seat. As soon as she vacated chambers, Hicks said, "We can't get involved. According to the treaty with the humans, if we go hunting, we risk an all-out war." Council Henry said, "If we don't, we are violating our own laws. That girl was held captive for 5 years by humans. She is under duress, knowing what her father might be enduring." But Hicks dug his heels in and said, "Regardless, that girl is a hybrid of goddess only knows what, and dangerous. She will put our people in harm's way." Adriana was called back in, and by the looks on the councilmen's faces, she knew she was about to be denied. Figures, she should have known. Councilman Hicks intones, "Council only involves themselves when circumstances demonstrate the threat is to 3 or more packs. As of right now, only your pack seems affected. Therefore, we are prepared to install an interim alpha in order for you to continue the search with your trackers." Adriana sneered. "You won't help me look for my father, but see this as an opportunity to take his pack? Is that what I am hearing, councilman? I am being refused council's assistance? You are comfortable enough to allow these hunters to possibly attack other packs, other species, and abduct them? Have you no idea what the hunters are doing to all species?" Hicks slammed his gavel down. "Enough, Miss Mosley. You do not come in here and disrespect the council. We have a job to do, and we follow protocol. Now, do you accept the interim alpha, or do you leave?" Adriana snarled, "Alpha Mosley to you. Do not even think to send an interim alpha to my pack. A job to do, riding your high horses, sitting on your fat asses isn't doing your job, councilman. It is being an apathetic jackass. I am leaving, and I am withdrawing Luna Lake's support of this council. You people are a joke." She was storming to the door when a deep voice growled from the corner, "Stop," and she whipped around. A man said, "Alpha Mosley, my name is Alpha Evander Arconium, and I will offer my assistance in locating these hunters. And your father, I don't need council's aid." Adriana asked, "Why? Why would you go against the council? You're one of them. And obviously, it isn't politically correct to actually help shifters. Their jobs are just to be pompous, judgmental asses. Evander stepped into the light and grinned. I sit the council, strictly to represent my dragons. They do not control what I do or say. I believe these hunters are a very real threat, and I want to help you take them down. Color me bored. Needing a little action, maybe? Besides, you're my mate.
Chapter 3. I love your fiery temper. Adriana's POV.
My mate? Of all times to meet my mate. Either the goddess fucking hates me, or she has one hell of a sense of humor. I said, we need to talk, and walked out of chambers. Evander didn't even acknowledge the council as he followed me out. He said, I know a little outdoor cafe. We can grab a bite to eat and talk, undisturbed. I nodded, and it was my turn to follow him. I climbed up into his truck, and he drove to the restaurant. He chuckled as I hopped down from his truck, and I asked, Oh, that's amusing, is it? I might find it as funny watching you fold yourself into my Jeep. He laughed out loud at that. Yeah, my 7-foot frame doesn't bend that way. I smiled. Are all dragons this huge? Shaking his head, he replied, Nope. I'm somewhat of an anomaly. I am the strongest dragon ever born, although we have no idea why. My father was the strongest until I came of age. My brother isn't as strong. I am what I am, I reckon. I giggled and told him, Yeah, don't do that again. Popeye. You ain't, he said. I'm surprised you caught the reference. That's awesome. We sat and ordered burgers, and I got a Coke. He got coffee. He smiled. You start. You want to talk? I want to accept you. The ball is in your court. I told him everything the hunter's lab doctors had done to me, that I am a mix of several species. I can change into a fairy, a bear, an elf, a jaguar, but I am wolf through and through. While I can tap into the powers of the other species, only my wolf and I habitate my body. The rest are like, spirits I can invoke at will. My wolf's name is Sadie. She is pushing me to accept you. I am reticent. My heart and soul are the only things the hunters couldn't alter. In 5 years, I remained true to myself. Coming home to my pack changed that. My father and brother are the only ones that want me there. They treated me like I was forever tainted because I don't look the same. Don't act the same. I learned to protect my heart. He nodded at me. Then he took my hand. I don't care what you can shift into. You could be a bug-eyed little green alien. You are my mate. That is what matters to me. Nothing else. I accept you, Adriana Mosley, as my mate. And until you can accept me, I will be the guardian of your heart. I smiled at him and said, Pretty words. I hope you don't have to eat them. Why can't I scent you? I feel the sparks, but the scent has thrown me off. He released the scent he had been hiding and said, When most people smell dragon, they run away screaming. I laughed. Yeah, well, people are stupid. We finished our lunch, and he stepped away to take a phone call. So I took a moment to call Xander and Andrew to let them know I was headed home. With a guest, when Evander returned, he said, That was my pack. My brother is my beta. He and our gamma will meet me at your pack, if that's all right. My parents will watch over my pack while we hunt. I nodded and asked, Question, if I wasn't your mate, would you have offered to help me? He started nodding and told me, Absolutely. I was impressed how you stood your ground. I won't tolerate shit from anyone, so I identified with your personality. Nodding, I told him, I want you to know I am very grateful. I have hit so many dead ends that I'm ready to pull my hair out. This is the frustration my father must have felt, looking for me. He smiled softly and said, I remember when you were taken. My father was sitting counsel for dragons. He was refused aid as well. I don't remember the excuses they gave him. I'll have to speak to Dad about that. I snarled. Their excuses are moot. I have withdrawn my support. Should there come a time the council issues a call to arms, my pack will not stand with them. He grinned. I love your fiery temper.
Chapter 4 Banish Them. Evander's POV.
We arrived at Luna Lake, and it truly is a beautiful pack. Dead center sits the Lake of the Moon, the only place that can host the healing spirit of the moon goddess. People come from all over, bringing injured loved ones to heal in the calming waters. This pack have protected the lake for centuries. Many would drain it dry, thinking it is the lake's water itself that heals. It isn't. It is the combination of the location, the temperature, and the phase of the moon. We approach the front of the house and are greeted by two men. Adriana introduced first Andrew, then her brother Xander, letting them know I am her mate. Xander man hugged me and whispered, I'm so glad you're finally here. She needs you. Just as we had gotten seated, Adriana said, Your brother and Gamma have arrived. They will be here in about 5 minutes. I stood back up and went to greet them. Eric is everything you would expect an 18-year-old to be, flighty, flirty, and fun, until it isn't time to be. Then he is strong, serious, and deadly. Blade, my Gamma, has been my best friend since we were kids. He is also my cousin, Uncle Caleb's second-born son, and meaner than a snake. He grew up knowing his older brother Aaron would be Beta, but he was trained in every aspect of the rank. Adriana stood to greet them, and when she held her hand out to shake, Eric pulled her into a hug. Thank you, goddess. Now Evander will stop being a dick to all of us. She giggled and said, Maybe it's you. It sounds like it's a you thing. He groaned and said, No. He always. Yeah, you're probably right. Making us laugh. I explained Eric is 4 years younger than I am, and a twin. Our sister Erica found her mate earlier this year and moved to Alberta, and Eric has been at loose ends. Blake shook Adriana's hand and told her, I have waited a long time to begin my real job. It is my greatest honor and extreme pleasure to finally meet you, Luna. Adriana grinned at him. You know, I may be the one protecting you, Gamma. He grinned and replied, More's the better. Saves me some work. And I can just sit around looking pretty. We laughed and any tension eased. Andrew said, Alpha, we have found several things that we need to discuss. The techies may have located a general area that is outside of the grids we have previously searched. She moved all of us into a conference room and placed a well-used map in the center of the table. She said 2 words, Show me. As she said that, a kitchen maid came in with a coffee cart and was pouring all of us a cup. When she had placed cups in front of everyone else, she finally slammed a cup down in front of Adriana, who quietly said, Connie, you are removed from service, effective immediately. Alphas are always served first. You served my mate third, and me last. By sloshing my cup in front of me, you destroyed a part of the map. Send Agatha to me upon your return to the kitchen. Connie whined. I need this job, Anna, and you know it. Adriana growled. Only loved ones address me by my nickname. If this job was important to you, you should have executed it correctly. Leave my sight. Within moments, a surly-looking woman knocked and was bade entry. She asked, You asked for me, Adriana? My mate looked up at her and said, Your kitchen staff is sloppy, careless, and disrespectful. Connie has been removed from your aid. Am I to believe I need to reevaluate every member of the household staff? Know that I am done. No longer will I tolerate the disrespect you have all shown me. I do not give a fuck if you care for me or not. I expect guests to be treated with the courtesy they deserve. Agatha muttered, I am sure I don't know what you mean, Alpha. I do not know why Connie would do what she did. I apologize. It won't happen again. Adriana nodded and sneered. I know it won't. Else, I will start cleaning house. And none of you will like the consequences. Dismissed. I reached over and took her hand in mine, rubbing small circles with my thumb. She tells us the pack blame me for the attack, for our losses, for the abduction of my father. You see, since I spent 5 years with humans, they believe I have become like them. I don't look the same. I am no longer that shy little girl they knew, and it frightens them. I snarled. Everything you have endured made you who you are. It is their loss, and if they can't get on board, banish them for a period of time. 3 months, 6 even. Let them learn how difficult it is for lone wolves now. Banish them.
Chapter 5, I Accept You, Adriana's POV.
I asked Andrew to call for a pack meeting after dinner, then asked him to continue with his information. Xander hugged me and told me he loved me. I smiled and ruffled his hair. You are why I tolerate their bullshit, Bubba. You will be alpha. These people need to fall in line. Andrew marked out the location, which was about 25 miles outside of our search grid, and then said 2 of our trackers have observed trucks coming in and out of this access road, delivering equipment and supplies. There are 24 armed men patrolling a 4-acre area and staying in a makeshift camp. Here, he pointed to an area just east of the access road. There is no other visible building, so we have reason to believe it is another underground facility. Evander asked, have the trackers seen evidence of medical personnel, military, entering or leaving? Xander said, the trackers have only just found the area. What little we know, we only found out this morning. Evander nods, and I watch his eyes glaze over, and Eric's nearly imperceptible nod in return. He stands and says, by the smells from the kitchen, I would say it's nearly dinner time. Will you show us where we can freshen up? Then we need to know where my dragons can land. 30 are en route as we speak. I smiled, a man true to his word. There is a large clearing to the south of the lake. Andrew, would you be so kind as to provide accommodation? We walked into the dining room, and I sat in my father's chair. Evander looked around at the 20 or so people at the table and asked, where is everyone? Xander responded, they don't eat in here much anymore. It's stupidity at its finest. When he looked at me, I shrugged. I prepared a plate for Evander, then my own. As I went to take a bite, Evander roared. He looked around the table, and in a growl which let me know Argon was present, he said, not one of you waited for your alpha's first bite. The amount of disrespect I have witnessed in 3 hours is enough to make me question the integrity of this pack. You act like rogues, and frankly, if that's the kind of people you are, then how dare you live under the protection of pack dynamics? You should be ashamed. I rubbed his forearm and whispered, they will be better when my father is home. They are still managing their grief. Eric responded, the attack was 3 weeks ago. They should be capable of finding better coping mechanisms. Is that when this behavior started? Andrew growls. No, that started 8 months ago, when a bloodied, broken girl stumbled back across our border after 5 years missing. At the pack meeting, I stood at the podium. I am the acting alpha of this pack until such time as my father returns. I have run out of patience. This entire pack has treated me with disrespect that will no longer be tolerated. I attempted to gain aid from the council, but was refused. But my mate, Evander Arconium, has graciously offered to help me locate my father, and I will do so. You all have thwarted me at every turn. I deliver my father back to this pack, and I will not return. You have proven to be an entire pack of bigoted, judgmental people. I am ashamed to be here now, so thank you for that. I am not here for debate. I am delivering an ultimatum. Straighten out your shit, or leave this pack, now. Tomorrow evening, I am going on a search and rescue. Warriors, I need at least 100 to accompany me. Volunteer or be voluntold. I am done with this bullshit. Just as I stepped off the stage, a horde of dragons landed by the lake. Evander and I walked down there, and he introduced me to them. Everyone knelt in front of me, placing their fists over their hearts. As a wave of acceptance washed over me, I smiled and welcomed them, and told them we had rooms ready. They followed me to the pack house, where Xander was waiting for us. After everyone was settled, I went to my room and grabbed a shower. I slipped on sleep shorts and a commie. I heard a knock and opened it to Xander. He hugged me close, and he whispered, "I want to go with you, but I know you're going to say no." I nodded. "Bubba, you are the future of this pack. We can't risk your safety." He nodded and kissed my head. "I love you, Anna. I want you to remember that, always." I laid in bed. My mind would not shut up. I tossed and turned, flipped and flopped. I heard a light knock at my door, and Evander stepped into my room. He whispered, "Braxton can hear Sadie's thoughts. She's a little loud. Want some company?" I nodded and scooted to make room. He laid down, pulling the covers up over us, and tugged me into his arms. I snuggled into him and breathed him in. I whispered, "Evander Arconium, I accept you as my mate and alpha." We felt the bond snap into place.
Chapter 6. They Call Us Animals. Evander's POV.
This pack is something else. The amount of intolerance they have shown. They blame her for being abducted, tested, and tortured. I am appalled at their ignorance. She came home different. But she came home. How can they not be proud of her resilience and strength? Everyone stood in the clearing by the lake as Adriana spoke to her head warrior. I could see her agitation, and I told Blake to step to his Luna. He walked straight over and placed his hand on her shoulder. I heard her say, "Where are the rest of the warriors, Ronald? Are they coming? Because being late is at least tolerable. Not showing up is unacceptable, so let them know. The 30 who haven't shown are to be gone from this pack before I return. I wasn't kidding last night. They will be banished. You accused me of working with the humans. Yet, all around me, this entire pack is accommodating them." She stomped over to me, and I lifted her to wrap her legs around my waist and whispered, "Breathe, baby. We don't need them. We will bring your father home without them." She said, "I am tired of being angry. I love my father. I adore my brother. These people, I am beginning to despise them." I turned to my men and ordered, "Dragons, transform." Turning to Adriana, I told her, 2 warriors to a dragon. They can carry 3. But I don't want to bother waiting for the rest of these so-called warriors of this pack. I said it loudly enough to be heard, knowing it would be relayed. I shifted into Argon and roared out. As soon as Adriana was on my back, I roared again, alerting my men to take flight. As the all ascended into the sky, Argon leaped and soared to around 1,000 feet, leading the V formation. We arrived at our decided location and quickly landed, as quietly as we always did. Adriana and I shifted into Sadie and Braxton. He rubbed his scent all over her, licking her muzzle in greeting. Running the rest of the distance to the enemy camp, we broke apart, crawling on our bellies. We observed a heavy steel door carved out of the side of the hill. She nudged her nose to show me what she was looking at. A keypad-coded entry, 2 guards on either side. I alerted my men to take out the guards, and her warriors were told to eliminate the ones inside the barracks. We needed stealth in order to prevent alerting the interior. Adriana climbed a tree off to the side and reached down to me. I handed a rifle with a scope and silencer attached. She skillfully and methodically started taking out the security cameras. making sure our approach would not be detected. Once her warriors indicated the guards were neutralized, we made our way to the keypad. Eric pulled out our electronic decoder and plugged it into the side. Within seconds, it beeped and the code popped up. I punched in the numbers. The doors slid to the side silently, revealing a steep staircase leading into the bowels of the building. Luckily, our eyes adjusted to the darkness without hesitation, and we silently crept down the stairs. 20 of my men behind us. Adriana had her warriors above ground, awaiting her signal. The first level was laboratories and monitoring. We snuck into each one. There were 4 guards in the security center that we killed silently by snapping necks. My men split up, searching every room. 3 scientists were working over a shifter. A bear by the smell. He was screaming and thrashing against his restraints. Adriana leaped over the table, with a hunting knife in hand. She stabbed the first one in the heart. The second, she sliced his jugular. The third lost his head completely. She released the bear, apologizing to him for what had been done to him. A thorough search was conducted of that floor. We ran into 4 other scientists and 2 researchers, eliminating them as we went. The second level held sleeping quarters. We located 5 people sleeping. Waking them up, we herded them in front of us, shoving them to the bottom level. Cells lined one wall, cages on the other. Close to 20 shifters were huddled inside. Adriana asked one of the researchers how many died. No response, and she punched him. How fucking many? He coughed out 13, and she snapped his neck. She told the other 4, "You'd best pray to whatever God you believe in. My father wasn't one of the 13. We opened the cells and cages. Adriana searching. In a cage, far away from the others, she found him. Abram was in bad shape. Adriana checked him over. She said, "I have to get him topside." I nodded and asked, "What do we do with them?" Pointing to the humans. She said, "Kill them. They don't care how many of us they kill. Then we need to collect their research. Data, computers. I want to know their plans, and if there are any more facilities like this one. Then we destroy this place." Turning to my men, I grinned. "You heard the boss. Let's get to getting it." And my men tore the humans apart. I headed to the top level, started pulling files and disconnecting hard drives. I don't need the entire computer, just the drives. I found a drawer with 15 flash drives, all labeled with the shifter species they had worked on. They call us animals.
Chapter 7. That explains a lot. Adriana's POV.
I had gotten Daddy to the outside, laying him carefully on the ground, checking his eyes, his heart. His veins were showing through his skin, dark purple, which indicated they had injected him with elf DNA. Evander walked out with 2 of his men, arms laden with the information I asked him to gather. He knelt beside me and asked, "How is he?" I shrugged and said, "He's poisoned. Elf DNA is toxic to a wolf. I am not sure how I survived it, but I have to get Daddy home. I have to get him to the lake. Please, Evander? It's his only chance." He turned to Ronald and said, You and your men will stay here and see to the destruction of this facility. My men will stay and observe. If you shirk your duty, if you do not do as I ordered, you and your little troop of merry men will answer to me." Evander shifted into Argon, and Basil, Evander's warrior, secured my father to his back, and I climbed up behind him. Within the hour, he was landing in our clearing, and Xander raced to greet us, helping me get Daddy down from Argon's back. We laid him in the grass. We removed his clothing, and Xander and I stripped to our underwear. We carried him into the lake, and I submerged his body, dropping his head beneath the water for several seconds. I chanted lowly, "Mother Moon, hear my plea. This can't be his eternity. by your guidance and your grace. Allow me to gaze upon his face, heal his body and his soul. Once again, make him whole." As I finished, Xander chanted the same. I submerged Daddy's head again, holding several seconds, then began again. We had performed the ritual 3 times before the lake began to glow, and a moonbeam shot from the heavens directly into my father's chest. He gasped, and as his eyes opened, he smiled at my brother and me. He whispered, "My precious girl, I knew you'd come." I broke down in tears and held him to me tightly. My daddy is okay, and that's all that mattered in that moment. Evander glanced around and saw the entire pack had gathered in the dawn's light. All of them had tears, and all he could think is, "Hypocrites," he said. "Disperse. My Luna has done what none of you attempted. Your Alpha is returned. No thanks to you." Evander started to walk into the water to carry Abram to the infirmary. And I said, "Stop, babe. The lake will burn you if one of us is not touching you. Only our bloodline can walk into her safely. It is the goddess's design. We are the keepers." Xander and I brought Abram out, and Evander lifted him in his arms while they dressed. We all walked to the infirmary together. As we neared, I heard the dragons approaching. I smiled and said, "Our people have returned." Evander nodded, grinning at me. Doc examined Daddy, letting me know he would be okay. I hugged Xander as he wept softly, repeatedly telling me thank you. For as grown up as he acts, he is still my little brother. Once I knew Daddy was settled, Evander and I went to my room. I am getting used to having him near me. I've found it's a feeling I quite enjoy. After a shower, we sat beside each other on my sofa. He said, "You really are something. You killed those 3 men in less than 10 seconds. I am impressed with your speed and dexterity." I smiled and said, "The humans tried to weaponize me. They wanted me to be a killing machine for their military. What they don't realize is the fairy side of that doesn't allow me to kill without provocation." He shook his head. "It angers me beyond reason when I think of what you must have endured. Tell me about the lake, my love." I grinned. "Ah, yes, the lake. We are the keepers of the lake. Our bloodline was blessed 3 centuries ago. Although our family have been the keepers for millennia, shifters believed they could simply use the lake's water to heal. They would come from all over, stealing her waters, bathing in her depths. Some even believed it would keep them young. They polluted and contaminated her shores, the water itself. The goddess decided she had had enough of greedy people taking advantage of her beneficence. She blessed only our bloodline to be able to touch her waters, and those we lead to the lake for healing. Our dedication was rewarded." He pulled me into his lap, kissing my forehead. He said, "That explains a lot."
Chapter 8. She pinched me. Evander's POV.
By the afternoon, Abram was much better. The healing properties of the lake are phenomenal. I was told that although the pack could take advantage of the lake's healing properties, they could not. Without a Mosley bloodline helping, and they treated my mate like shit, stupidity abounds. I have been sitting here with Abram for a couple hours. Adriana had introduced us, and he is aware she is my mate. We told him we would stay here a few more days before she moves to my pack in Alaska. I had told him everything I observed within his pack, because Adriana refused to. She didn't want him disappointed in his people. He is angry and vows to set them all straight. She hadn't even told him the things they were doing and saying to and about her before the attack. We had all agreed to send the information we had confiscated from the facility to my pack, to allow our tech department break it all down. I have more extensive equipment and a larger team to work on it. I sent my people home, along with Eric. He drove Adriana's Jeep home. Blake refused to leave his Luna. Abram tells me, You will be good to my little girl, yeah? She's been through so much. Only to come home to what she did. Her mother's passing. The hatred of the people who are supposed to care about her. It had been hard on her. I smiled and replied, I once told her I will be the guardian of her heart. I intend to fulfill that promise. Every day, for the rest of my life. It is my greatest privilege and honor. We will wait for her ceremony until you are hale and hearty again. It can't happen unless you walk her down the aisle. Laughing, he responded, You damned right it can't. That's my little girl. She has always been my pride and joy. Nodding, I said, I understand that. My sisters are the apples of my dad's eye. Eric and I are just bonus boys. She shares my oldest sister's name, which I find adorable. But we call my sister Ada, while Adriana is called Anna. Abram nods. Must be kismet. 2 Adrianas in one family. That's dangerous. And I laughed again. Ada lives in Nevada with her mate, Alpha Armand Bailey. Perhaps you know him? He assures me he does. And they are allies with Silver Moon Pack. He stood and said, Adriana, just let me know it's dinner time. Shall we make our way to the dining hall? Agreeing, I helped him walk in that direction, since he was still a little off balance. As I walked in, I heard Blake bickering with Adriana. They had been sparring earlier, so I wondered what it's about. I hear her say, I can't tell you. Well, I could, but then I'd have to kill you. He rebutted, That's the point, Luna. Well, not the killing me part, of course, but the knowing how, so I could do the killing, right? Camion, please, 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 pretty please? She laughed. You're like a 6-year-old. Fine, I will tell you. But if you'd just pay attention next time. I was trying to teach you. Stubborn. I already know how, jackass. I grinned. They were going to be great together. Maybe she needed him as much as he's been needing a Luna. I awked, What's going on? Blake's eyes lit up and said, Luna can decapitate a bear. A frickin' bear, Evander, in 2 moves. She laughed and told me, Yeah, and if you don't get it right first time, best run, because you'll have a huge pissed-off bear chasing your ass up a tree? I asked, speaking from experience. She grinned and nodded. Stupid grizzly kept me treed for 2 days. Then I remembered I could spread my wings and flitter away. He roared at me for an hour. We laughed, and I asked, When was this? She shrugged. Her smile faded, and she replied, When I was trying to make my way home. I actually had to kill a big brown bear the day after. Apparently, I smell like a threat to them. My poor baby. I sat her in my lap as she prepared a plate of food for her father, then for me, before she fixed her own. I noticed no one had lifted their forks until Abram took his first bite. Blake hadn't started eating, so I forked some potatoes and held it to Adriana's lips. She raised a brow and took the bite. I whispered, Tradition in my pack. No one eats until I feed my Luna her first bite. I looked over to see Blake happily eating with a satisfied smile on his face. I asked, Why did your pack wait for you to take the first bite, Abram? He smiled and replied, Tradition of the pack. No one eats before the alpha. A bit misogynistic, but it's still tradition. I responded, They didn't have that respect for the acting alpha in your absence. And she pinched me.
Chapter 9 Crickets, Adriana's POV.
My mate is a shit stirrer. Good to know. Little does he know, so am I. We are going to have fun with that. I glared at him, and he just smiled benignly. My father said, There will be a pack meeting in 1 hour, mandatory. Everyone in the pack looked nervous. Then Evander said, The dining room looks good with people actually here. Xander and Andrew choked back a laugh, and I growled, Stop, what are you doing? He smiled and said, pointing out the glaringly obvious flaws in the members of this pack. To disrespect an alpha's child is the same as disrespecting him. He's right in a way. I just don't want my dad upset with the people he has led for 20 years. I will be leaving here soon. I don't have to interact with any of them anymore. I shrugged and said, "Water under the bridge, babe. I won't be here to deal with them anymore." My father stepped to the podium and looked out over the pack. Andrew stood to his left, Xander on the right. When he spoke, he did so clearly and adroitly. My pack. People I have thought of as family for decades. I find myself ashamed, disappointed. It has been brought to my attention that my family, my own blood, has been maligned, abused, disrespected, with malicious intent. Even now, I see eyes darting toward my daughter with malevolence. How dare you? She hasn't said a word to me about this appalling behavior of every one of you. Her mate informed me. So, if you feel righteous anger is what you feel, you are free to direct it at the future king of dragons. As I have always been a fair and just man, I am going to allow you to explain yourselves. A man in the back said, "She led the humans to us. I lost my mate because of her." Abram said, "And you believe this, why? When she was but a child, did she lead the humans here that abducted her? Did unspeakable things to her? And they are unspeakable. I experienced a fraction of what my daughter suffered, and was near death when she rescued me. Don't be an idiot." A woman said, "Look at her. She's a freak now. She barely scents of pack. How do we know she won't go crazy and kill us in our sleep?" My father laughed. "Are you shitting me right now? What part of unspeakable are you incapable of comprehending? She is my blood. She is my daughter. Had she come back home humpbacked, bald and blind, she would still be my daughter, alpha born. Goddess blessed. Your ignorance astounds me." Another said, "If she hadn't come back, we wouldn't have been attacked." Abram said, "In captivity, there was 7 different species the humans were testing, torturing. Is she the reason their packs, clans, and prides were attacked? Help me out here, people. Are you blaming my child for the evil that lives in the hearts of others?" No one spoke, and he waited, watching and staring each one of them in the eyes. Then he said, "I am ashamed. I have never been as disappointed as I am tonight. We are half human. Yet you have proven to me you are without humanity. Enlighten me. How are you any different than the humans?" Again, silence reigned supreme. He finally said, "You have tonight. Go home, reevaluate your values, your morals. I am of half a mind to simply banish you all. That is where you have brought me. That is how deep my disappointment goes. Reassess your lives. You have some proving to do. Do not come to me with false humility. Do not think a simple apology will correct this. Tomorrow, you will let me know if you are willing to do better, to be better. You have to change your way of thinking. I will accept no prejudices in my pack. Until then, none of you will be considered pack. You didn't bother to be pack when Adriana was left with no choice. When my daughter had to go outside of her home to find someone to help rescue me. What none of you gave a single thought to was she was trying to rescue your alpha, not just her father. And none of you cared enough to help. That, in itself, tells me you don't want to be in my pack." A woman said, "She went to the council for aid. Our trackers couldn't find you. They lost your scent by the 3rd day. What did you expect us to do?" A man yelled out, "In all fairness, Alpha, we thought you were dead." He grins an evil grin. Raising an eyebrow, he responded, "And you all felt my bond snap? None of you could feel your tether attached to my heart, crickets?"
Chapter 10 I Laughed with Her. Evander's POV.
Blake and I were finishing packing up my truck with the things Adriana was taking. She didn't have a lot of clothes. Or anything, really. Having only been home 9 months or so, she hadn't accumulated a lot. A box of photographs, her mother's jewelry, her life, summed up in 3 boxes and 2 suitcases. As she was hugging her family, Abram was alerted Councilman Hicks was at the gates. Instead of loading up in my truck, we stood beside Abram and waited. Hicks stepped out of the rear passenger side, just as another man exited the other side. He stepped directly to Adriana and said, "Miss Mosley, this is Alpha Roger Melbourne." She smiled, saying, "Hello, Roger." "This dude?" This arrogant man retorted, "Alpha Melbourne." She giggled and said, "Whatever. What can I do for you?" He growled, "I will not tolerate disrespect, young woman. Not from my pack, and certainly not from my prospective mate." Now I am getting pissed. I snarled, "Hicks, what is the meaning of this?" He stuttered and stumbled over his words. "Roger is the interim alpha the council promised. And since Miss Mosley seemed to need a strong hand, we thought we would pair them." I nearly snapped the man's neck. Adriana took my hand, calming me instantly. She smiled and said, "It seems you have made a wasted trip, Roger." The council was informed I would never accept an interim alpha, as well as council having no say in my mating status, as I have already withdrawn Luna Lake's support from that particular governing faction. Abram stepped forward then, looking directly at Hicks. "What game are you playing at, Hicks? Why would you randomly show up at my pack, after refusing aid in a matter that concerns us all?" She withdrew from council, with my blessing, I might add, as well as finding her goddess-given mate. "Now, what is your game?" Again he stumbled over his words. "Alpha Mosley, I was unaware of your rescue. Of course that changes things." Abram said, "You're fucking right, it does. You saw an opportunity to take over my pack and force a mating on my daughter in order to maintain rights over the lake. That's it, isn't it? You know the lake will kill anyone not of my blood. Interesting. Now I know exactly where the council stands." I said, "As do I. I resign my council commission, effective immediately, as well as withdraw the support and protection of Draconium Pack from all council activity." Hicks said, "What? No, you can't," I sneered. "I just did. Good luck explaining that to your compatriots." They rushed to their car and hurried away. Xander laughed. "That was the best send-off you could have gotten, Anna." We laughed, and I shook Abram's hand. "We are an hour away, as the dragon flies. You need us for anything, ever. We will be here." He grasped my forearm in the standard warrior handclasp and told me thank you. He hugged Adriana and cried. She whispered, "I will FaceTime you both every night. I love you so much, Daddy." We had gotten a later start than I wanted, but we learned something about the council. My father isn't going to be happy, but we generally don't tolerate anyone trying to force us into anything. And Adriana is one of us now. Her tears had stopped, and she was snuggled into me. Quietly, so quietly I almost missed it, she asked, "Will your family like me? Will your pack?" Pulling her tiny frame into my lap, I told her, "My family already loves you, baby. Our pack will love you just as much as I do." She pulled back and asked, "You love me?" I grinned and told her, "With all that I am your heart's guardian, but you own mine." She smiled so beautifully and replied, "My head loves you. My heart will follow. I'm trying." I pulled her back into me and said, "I know, my love. I am a patient man. All in good time." We stopped and grabbed a bite to eat. Blake threw a fry at Adriana, and she flicked an entire spoonful of milkshake at him, hitting him square in the eye. She grinned. "Don't play, jackanapes. You'll lose." He said, "What did you call me? Evander, what did she call me?" "What is that?" "It's a bad word in another language, isn't it?" You called me a bad word. I laughed and told him to get in the truck. He was still going on about jackanapes, and I said, Dude, you lost before you even got started. Now you have a new word to look up. He pulled his phone out, and Adriana busted out laughing. I interlaced our fingers while he looked for it. She asked, Are you spelling it right? He snapped. How the fuck do I know? I don't even know what it is. Oh, I found it. Oops, nope. That's jackalope. Oh my goddess, that's a real thing? Is a jackalope real? I want one if they are. A bunny with antlers? Fucking cool, dude. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Look what you've done. And she cracked up laughing again. She said, I can't help it. He's too easy. And I laughed with her that time.
Chapter 11. The crowd went crazy. Adriana's POV.
We pulled up in front of the most beautiful pack house on the planet. Natural stone with floor-to-ceiling glass. But dear goddess, I thought Montana was cold. Nope. It's positively balmy compared to this wind. Literally tasting the ice in it, an entire herd of people stood at the front entryway. I didn't want to get out of the truck. Is that his family? That is a shit ton of people right there. 7 people. 3 women and 4 men. I must have looked as nervous as I felt because Evander said, It's just my family, baby. Eric, you know. The others are my parents. And my sisters with their mates. It's going to be okay. Still, I didn't move. I took several deep breaths, trying to calm my racing heart. What if they hate me? He replied. I promise. They won't. I nodded okay, and he lifted me down before he walked me over to them. His mother squealed and pulled me into a hug. I have been so excited. I haven't sat still for a week. I am so happy we found you. Like she had been looking for Evander's mate as long as him. She said, I'm Aurora. Call me Rory. Or Mom. I just nod. She's energetic. A man nearly as big as Evander stood beside her. Must be his dad. That's what I thought. But my mouth had other ideas and blurted, Holy fuck, you're a mountain too. I tried to apologize immediately, but Evander was laughing so hard, I just glared at him. He said, Yeah, she says things. Not what her brain wants her to say, but her mouth takes over. That's my dad, baby, Draco. I shook his hand, and he said lowly, I say things too, daughter. We're going to get along fine. I smiled. Liking this mountain man, I turned enough to face the siblings. Eric took me in his arms and said, Welcome home, little sister. I gut punched him and said, We're the same age, goofball. He groaned in such exaggeration. I laughed, wimpy beta. The girls giggled and one said, I'm Adriana too. Everyone calls me Ada. Then she hugged me. Erica said, I'm Ricky. I am so happy to meet you. Then she hugged me. The lot of them are huggers. Me, not a big touchy-feely type, but I got through it. We walked inside and Draco said, The pack is due to assemble in an hour, son. Everyone is excited to meet their Luna. The dragon warriors have told them about the takedown at the human facility. Even I am impressed. Good job. I inclined my head and said thank you. Evander showed me to our room and Blake had already brought my things inside. He said, Why don't you get a shower while I update my parents on what happened with the council? After dinner, we will meet in the war room and see if the techs have found anything yet, okay? I nodded, already unpacking my clothes. I knew I didn't have much time, but I wanted to look presentable for the pack at the meeting. So I jumped in the shower and scrubbed up. I blow-dried my hair, braiding the red in my hair, tying it back into a ponytail, allowing the blue and purple to blend with the blonde. I have tried everything, dyeing it, cutting it. I always wake up the same. I have decided to embrace it. I pulled on sweater tights and ankle boots, with a sweatshirt dress over a commie. I can be warm and still look cute, right? I lined my eyes with black wingtips and mascara. slapped a little lip gloss on, and went in search of my mate. I found him in his office, enjoying a drink with his dad. I smiled and poured myself a whiskey. Then I walked over and sat down in Evander's lap. He snuggled me to him and said, "You look adorable." I smiled and kissed his cheek. Draco said, "You and Aurora will get along famously. She prefers whiskey to wine." I muttered, Yeah, if I want fruity, I'll eat a grape." Both men chuckled. Evander said, "I feel ya." We walked into the backyard, and the entire pack was there. All of them. Waves and waves of people. I said, "Fuck me running. How many people are in this pack?" Evander laughed. "Over 11,000. Hence the microphone. And that huge screen back over to the right." He stepped up to the podium, dragging me with him. He spoke draconium. "Every one of you knows how long I have searched for my mate. A week ago, she literally barged into my life and turned it upside down. Since meeting her, she has taken me on an adventure. We attacked a shifter test facility, killed a dozen humans, who deserved that and more, and rescued her father. I resigned my commission on the Shifter Council and severed our support and protection of them. Last, but in no way least, she is born of the original bloodlines of the Keepers of Luna Lake. Our pack is truly blessed with such a Luna. I give you Adriana Mosley." The crowd went crazy. Everyone cheered and hollered, whistled, shouted out my name. It astonished me, overwhelmed me in a good way. Then, as one body, they all knelt to one knee, pledging their loyalty with a fist over their hearts.
Chapter 12, You Are a Hero. Evander's POV.
After I left Adriana in our room, I mind-linked Dad to meet me in my office. Mom showed up with him, so I poured us all a drink. We sat down and I asked, "Well, what do you think?" My mom responded, "She's lovely, honey. I love her already. She's been hurt, though. It lives in her eyes. I will just love her through it, especially on her bad days." Dad said, "She's all piss and vinegar, spit and fire. She doesn't trust in love easily. When she does give her heart away, it's forever. Donna can feel her fear of never being accepted, not fitting in." I nodded and told them her story. My dad got so mad, he shattered the glass in his hand. Mom cried like it had happened to her own child. When I told them what the council had told her, and then what Hicks had tried pulling, Dad was even more pissed off. Then I told him I had pulled our support. He said, "Good. That seat on the council was to placate the dragons because of the way they handled the Michelson situation. Fuck them. We govern ourselves." Mom said, "There will be repercussions regardless. I will get started right now. I want to be prepared to counteract anything they try throwing at us." Once she had walked out, I poured us each another drink and Dad said, "Are you planning on locating and destroying other testing facilities?" I nodded. "I have to, Dad. They nearly killed my mate. She's the only one who survived all their testing. They will be coming for her, unless I stop them." He nodded and said, "You have my full support. Anything you need. You know that. Let's end the bastards before they can actually weaponize a shifter. This world can live without that." As he finished saying that, Adriana joined us. She is just too precious. All girl. Until she's a raging inferno of vengeance. My little paradox. We got through the pack meeting. And dinner. Now we have to meet the techs and find out what we need to know. Adriana is ready. She is determined to end this. Mom is drafting lawsuits against the human government for covert operations against shifters. Dad said, "I want to take this to the public. I am just not sure how to do it without implicating my new daughter. Suggestions?" Adriana said, "File the suit as a direct result of my father's abduction and torture. We have the video surveillance of the attack a month ago. It clearly shows the humans attacking, slamming us with wolfsbane bombs to prevent our wolves shifting, killing defenseless women and children. Mom looked up. Are you shitting me? I need that evidence. I will file a class action in civil court for the victims. What about the shifters you rescued when you escaped? Can you contact them? At her nod, Mom yelled, Oh, we have them by the short and curlies. How soon can we get that surveillance footage? Adriana dialed her dad, and as soon as he answered, her face lit up like a Christmas tree. He asked, Missed me already, pumpkin? She nodded at him, still grinning. She said, Daddy, I'm putting you on my laptop. I want you to meet Evander's parents. Once it was set up and introductions were made, Mom told him what she was needing, and he replied, Let me know when the press conference is set up. If anything, I can join you in a video call. I am not trusting the council at the moment, and I am leery of being away from the pack. What's your email, and I will send you all the surveillance's video I have. There's 6 different angles. Once we had ended the call, and the emails started coming in, the techs got the big screen set up. And just as we started watching, Adriana said, It's not pretty. It's sickening. And I'm nervous, because you will see how dangerous I am. I hugged her to me and said, We can be dangerous together, baby. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can change how I feel. The first video was playing. It showed the alarms going off, the gates being blown open. 20 militarized vehicles rushed the lake, with foot soldiers running behind. At least 200 humans forced their way into Luna Lake, firing flashbangs and wolfsbane bombs into residences and into groups of warriors. Then we see Adriana darting through the trees, never stopping. She ripped off limbs, took out knees, snapped spines, and fuck me, decapitated a half dozen before anyone spotted her. The humans were dragging women from cabins, children, just shooting them where they landed. Adriana grabbed the leader, I'm assuming, and bit into his throat, ripping out his jugular. Then someone shot her. She flinched and stumbled back. Then she started running at her shooter. He emptied his clip into her, but she kept coming. Reaching him, she punched her fist into his chest and tore his heart out. The video ended with them loading an unconscious Abram into a truck and Adriana crawling into the lake. My mom stood up and pulled Adriana into her arms and just held her, whispering, My brave, brave girl, you saved that ungrateful pack that day. You are a hero.
Chapter 13. Let's call it a night. Third-person POV.
Everyone sat still a minute. Then Blake said, That move right there, see? I told you she decapitated a whole real bear. That is so fucking cool, Eric said. Dude, you get excited over the weirdest shit. You're an idiot. Adriana giggled and said, But he's my idiot. Leave him be. He makes me laugh. It doesn't bother me, Eric. I won't apologize for what I am now. I survived something no one else lived through. I refuse to be ashamed. Any more than the humans should be surprised. I am what they made me, so shame on them for not being able to contain me. Draco asked, How many rounds did he hit you with? She shrugged and said, 22. He missed me 8 times. I counted as they whizzed past. He nodded and said, So, they armed themselves with M16s with 30-round clips. Probably 3 clips per soldier. That's valuable information. Aurora asked, And the lake healed you? Adriana nodded. I submerged myself. You should be able to see it in the next videos. And I counted to 10. I had to chant and submerge 5 times to release all the rounds. Eric asked, Chant? Evander nodded. Mosleys have to chant to the goddess, for whomever they heal. I cannot stress this enough. Never, and I do mean never, enter the lake without your Luna. Abram and Xander can go in the water, but anyone not of their bloodline will die if they enter the water. Adriana smiles and tells Evander, "You will be able to swim in the lake. After we have marked and mated, you can only heal yourself, though." He was shocked, but told her, "Good to know," and grinned at her. The next video showed the military searching the grounds for her. They watched the exact moment she was spotted. They ordered her from the water, and everyone heard her say, "Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Come and get me." Two of them waded into the lake, and within seconds ran out, their pants and boots smoldering, their legs covered in blisters, like they had stepped into an acid bath. She laughed as they screamed. Blake asked her, "What you got against their horse? Damn, that's cold." Making everyone laugh, and Evander shook his head, "Idiot." Everyone watched as they retreated, loading up in their vehicles and driving off territory. She walked out of the lake and headed to help clean up. Everyone in the room watched as her pack turned on her, throwing stones at her, sticks, trying to slap her, until she screamed, "Enough. You aren't the only ones who lost someone today. We have to rescue our alpha." A man screamed, "Good luck with that. My mate is dead because of you." She turned and walked inside. She told everyone in the room, "That's the last you'll see of me on video." Blake said, "That entire pack is a bunch of ungrateful assholes." Adriana shrugged, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." Evander pulled her back into his lap and whispered, "I love you. You aren't just physically strong. You know that, right?" She smiled and told him, "The humans taught me that." Then she laughed. "They used to get so mad at me. It became a source of entertainment for me. I would taunt and tease them, just to see how pissed off I could make them. They got angriest when I made fun of their dicks. Humans are extremely self-conscious about the size of their manhood." Blake said, "Yeah, dude, that ain't just a human thing. It's a man thing. No man wants to hear a woman thinks they ain't big enough." Adriana laughed. "That's just ignorant. I didn't start making fun of them about it until one guy kept threatening to use it on me. He'd whip it out and shake it at me. It struck me funny. When I told him it wouldn't be able to even reach my hymen, much less break through it, he got really mad. He died that night." She said it so nonchalantly. Everyone knew he had tried. Evander was trying to hold onto his temper. She kissed his neck and whispered, "No one ever tried again. They were too scared." He hugged her tighter. Aurora said, "I am going to edit these videos. There are some things no one needs to see, like the discord of your father's pack after the attack. That malicious behavior is shameful." Draco said, "I think you should show it. It exhibits what the humans are doing is disrupting the sanctity of all of our packs. They needed a target for their grief, so they went after the one who was close." Evander said, "Absolutely not. I am with Mom on this one. Editing needs to be done. I would stop with the first video and leave it at Adriana crawling into the lake." Aurora suggested everyone get some sleep. That tomorrow she wanted to start contacting all the other victims and getting statements. Draco said he wanted to get with Abram and set up a press conference by tomorrow evening. Evander looks at his techies and told them, "We will go over everything you've found on the hard drives from the lab in the morning. Let's call it a night."
Chapter 14. Let's do it then. Adriana's POV.
I think it's safe to say I had the best sleep of my life. I was looking forward to seeing everyone instead of dreading it. Such a nice feeling. Evander was just coming out of the bathroom when I had stood to stretch out my kinks. I stopped mid-stretch and stared. He smirked. "Look all you want, baby. It belongs to you," I stammered. Yeah, are you naked under that towel?" "What? Adriana, you dumbass. Of course he's naked. If he had clothes on." He wouldn't need the goddess damn towel, idiot. Evander busted out laughing. Wanna see? And he reached for the towel. I yelped and ran for the bathroom. I showered. Then realized I had not grabbed any clothes. Now I'm silently praying he's gone downstairs already. I opened the door a crack. And nope. He's sitting on the bed, tying his shoes. Fuck, I said, turn around. He laughed and asked, why? You saw me in my towel. I think you should return the favor. Oh ho, so that's how he wants to play, is it? Okay, I can do this. Two can play this game. I can do this. I tightened the towel around me, opened the bathroom door, and sprinted like Usain Bolt for the closet. He laughed the whole time. I then realized I have no underwear. Are you freaking kidding me right now? Damn it. I grabbed one of his hoodies and slipped it over my head and walked to my dresser. He's staring at me. Uh-huh. Where's all that laughter now, buddy? I pulled out a pair of blue lace boy shorts and slipped them on right in front of him. See? I can play too. He reached me in 1 second, pulling me to him. Careful, love. My imagination has run wild, and all I will be able to think about all day are those sexy panties. Then he kissed me. A long, deep, wet kiss that felt like it went on for days. As a first kiss, that was just, damn, I said. Well, tried to say, I didn't. Fuck. I forget what I was supposed to be doing. He chuckled and said, getting dressed. But wear the hoodie today. Please. I like seeing you in my clothes. All I could do was nod. I grabbed a bra and ran to the closet, slipped on a pair of jeans and got my bra on, slipping into my tennis shoes and throwing my hair into a braid. I was good to go. We went down to rush through breakfast. We had a lot to get to today. First on our agenda was meeting with the techs. Evander wants to know what information they had extracted. Then the press conference, which I am nervous about. But it's necessary. We have to get our story out there. Awareness is key. Shifters voluntarily came out to humans. The council thinking it was a good idea. We will negotiate treaties, they said. We will be safer, they said. Yeah, well, that didn't work out. Sitting in the conference room, Roy, the tech, was talking, and I had zoned out. I didn't understand half of what he was saying. That is until he said, there are 3 other facilities, 2 relatively close, Colorado and Nevada, 1 in Maine. Problem being, we are sure they have become aware of the one here in Montana going down by now, so they will have stepped up security. That's the bad news. The good news is we can hack it. I HMM'd and asked, they will step up manpower too. It won't be as easy as it was. What if we expose the locations of these facilities? Our treaties with the humans have been violated. The money is coming from their government, and I know that for a fact. I also know they are training the hunters at military bases. Evander said, follow the money trail, Roy. It's most likely coming from offshore accounts, but someone high up has to be accessing it. Hunters aren't cheap, and their money has to be practically guaranteed. Draco said, I want the locations of those facilities. We are going to launch a shit storm against the humans. I am sure the president will try to contact me once we go public. Aurora said, I have the first drafts of the lawsuits I plan on filing in the Human Supreme Court. We are circumventing the council altogether. I will file the cases at the same time of your press conference. You can mention that as well. I said, I prefer to stay in the background. Those videos will incriminate me, as it is. Aurora said, the press conference will only show parts of the video. Your cameo appearance is edited out, at least until we have to produce it for court. Evander said, babe, I'd like to be marked and mated before we go completely public. I nod. knowing it's the best idea. Okay? Nothing fancy, though. We have a full moon in 3 days. Let's do it then.
Important note.
To all our listeners, if you've been swept away by the captivating tale and are enjoying the journey, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Additionally, for those who prefer reading over listening, you can subscribe to our Book Lover Aficionado package on Patreon for just $10 a month, where you'll have access to both listen and read options. Your donations mean the world to us and help us bring even more thrilling stories to life. Find the Patreon link in the description below and become a part of our storytelling community today.
Chapter 15. Say it again. Third person's POV.
Aurora and the girls had thrown together a beautiful ceremony. The decorations and twinkle lights lined the garden. Adriana had found a beautiful dress in ivory silk. The girls styled her hair in soft, beaky waves that had all 4 colors winding together in harmony. Aurora had done her makeup. Sadie was practically dancing in her head, salivating and panting. Adriana was getting a headache from her bouncing around. Abram and Xander arrived an hour before the ceremony, spending most of that calming Evander down. He was so nervous, he kept feeling like he was going to throw up. Draco had decided the press conference would wait until after the mating ceremony, so Adriana had the full support of the royal family behind her. They are planning on presenting a united front to the press. When it was time to begin the ceremony, Adriana was practically bouncing. Her father knocked on her door, and as she opened it, Abram's breath caught. "You are so beautiful, my girl. I lost so much time with you." Adriana held him close and whispered, "And you. I missed Xander growing up. I missed Mama. But we have here and now, and we have to make the most of it. The humans stole our time. They didn't break our bond. I love you, Daddy, so much." As they walked down the aisle, Adriana's eyes sought Xander first. Spotting him, she smiled and winked. His face lit up, realizing he was still as important to his big sister. He smiled back, even as his eyes teared. Then she saw her mate, looking at her like she had hung the moon, and it dawned on her. She had given him her heart, surrendered it to his safekeeping. A warmth filled her like nothing she had ever felt. Abram handed her over to Evander and told him, "I am not above trying to kick your ass if you ever hurt her." He smiled at his new son, and Evander said, "I don't have it in me to hurt her. I love her, Dad. She is my everything." Draco performed the ceremony, and Adriana swore her loyalty to Draconium and her alpha. Their sliced palms clasped, and she felt her bond snap from Luna Lake, just as her bond with Draconium seeded. Then he turned her to him, kissing her deeply. When he pulled away, he lifted her so her legs wrapped around his waist. He whispered, "We mark together." She grinned and nodded. Evander extended both sets of his beast's teeth. Apologizing, he sank them into her shoulder, just as Sadie's found their mark. She groaned, then moaned. A tattoo burned its way across her shoulder and down her upper arm. It was absolutely beautiful. Flowers and vines intertwined around the replica of Argon's head. In all the beautiful colors that had changed her hair, Aurora smacked Draco's arm and said, "I am so jealous. My mark is done in black and shaded. Hers is vibrant and alive. Look at Argon's scales. They shine in the moonlight. Ugh, damn it," causing everyone to laugh. Draco apologized profusely. "I am sorry, baby. I am. But I think it has to do with her altered DNA." "The colors are the same." Aurora looked more closely and told him, "Oh, you're right. Okay, you're off the hook." Evander let a short pack run, too eager to dance with his bride, which he did. Several songs. He stood back, watching her dance with her father, then her brother. Then Ada and Ricky drug her back to the dance floor to teach her something called the Cupid Shuffle. but mostly she just laughed. Evander had finally gotten her alone. He slipped her gown off, slowly kissing her. As they laid down beside each other, she said, "I have never done this before." He whispered, "Me either, baby. We will learn together." As he made love to her into the early morning hours, they learned. They definitely learned. They taught each other everything there was to know about their bodies, what felt good, what they weren't too fond of. Her body flowed with his, moving in sync with one another. As he entered her for the third time, she arched into him and moaned, "Goddess Evander, you literally complete me. I never knew it could be like this." Evander followed her over the edge, once more, and collapsed beside her, catching his breath. Within minutes, he had risen and filled the tub with warm, bubble-filled water. He lifted her into his arms and situated them both in the suds. Carefully and thoroughly, he laved her silky skin, relaxing her entire body. He knew she was sore and wanted her to know he would always take care of her. Showing her how much he loved her in his gentleness, she sighed into him and allowed her body to melt and relished in the feel of his skin against hers. She whispered, "I hold your heart inside me, and so I gladly surrender mine to you, handing it to you, to protect and shelter it in your love. I love you, Evander. I want you to be the guardian of my heart. I trust you to not break me. I love you, completely." A tear rolled down his cheek as his entire body sighed into her, and he said, "Say it again. I need to hear it. Every day, for the rest of my life. Please, say it again."
Chapter 16, Beat Feet Out of There. Evander's POV.
Adriana and I spent 2 wonderful days, completely wrapped up in each other. Everyone talks about love, what it means, how it's supposed to make you feel. But until you're in it, living it, the words don't register. Nothing makes sense. And then it does. That's what love is. When everything you have ever thought it could or would be makes sense. We were standing at the very back of Dad's conference room. His press conference is about to begin. Adriana is nervous, and I keep trying to get her to breathe. My precious angel is about to have her life exposed, and she's terrified. Truth be told, I am too. We talked a long time last night. We know we have to do this. If saving lives is our goal, we have to be willing to share our reasons. The countdown to the cameras rolling began, and Dad sat up a little straighter. As the cameraman pointed, he began the speech he had prepared. "Hello, my name is Draco Arconium. Some of you know me as the King of Dragons. I appear before you today with a heavy heart. It has been brought to my attention that supernatural species, including all shifters, are being abducted and experimented on by the human government. Hunters attack shifter packs, witches' covens, fairy flutters, even elf enchantments. They are being injected with DNA of different species, strength-enhancing drugs. Tortured, beaten, sensory deprivation, sleep deprivation." A video played behind him of all the photographs we had found on the hard drives. The media present were gasping. "I apologize. I know the images are difficult to see. This has been going on a minimum of 10 years that we know of. Unfortunately, it has only recently come to my attention. I vow to stop this heinous practice. We are in the process of filing lawsuits through proper channels. On the screen, please observe the locations of 3 remaining locations of facilities that are, as of this moment, torturing and murdering shifters and the other species. I will do everything in my power to shut these laboratories down. They are masking themselves as research facilities. At the cost of my kind, I will not tolerate it. The United States government is funding these facilities. I am providing proof of that on my website. Feel free to do your own investigation. We exposed ourselves to the humans in an effort to alleviate the fear of our kind and to work hand in hand towards a better future. Unfortunately, the humans found it to be an opportunity to exploit and harm us. Proof of what the hunters are doing will play on the video above my head. I will give you time to watch. Then I will answer your questions. Adriana looked at me and grimaced. Here we go. There's no going back from this. I nodded and held her closer. She was shaking, but I knew she would appear calm if my father felt he should expose her. Abraham stepped onto the stage, taking his seat beside Dad. They whispered something to each other, and Abraham nodded. When the video ended, the reporters started firing questions any after the other, talking over each other. No one being heard. Dad held up his hand. Please be considerate of one another. The man on my right is Alpha Abraham Mosley of Luna Lake Pack. That is who was being attacked in the video. The man taken hostage is Alpha Abraham himself. He was rescued 2 weeks ago from just such a government-funded facility. That was destroyed. All evidence confiscated. You are welcome to ask him questions, but be warned. I will only allow one question at a time. If you do not adhere to that, this conference is over. One reporter asked, "Who is the girl in the video?" Abram answered, "My daughter." Another, "How do we know the video isn't fake?" Again, Abram responded, "The video is from surveillance security cameras that surround my territory and have been in place for over 10 years. They aren't faked. I was tortured and nearly killed. Upon my rescue, I was literally at death's door, all at the hands of the human government." Yet another asked, "Was the girl a subject of this experimentation as well?" Dad answered simply, "Yes. She was held in captivity for 5 years. She was only a child." Then questions started firing. "Is she dangerous?" Dad said, "No, I am the one you should be worried about." The questions started firing too rapidly to respond to, and both dads stood, leaving the room. The room exploded in a frenzy. I ushered Adriana out as quickly as possible. I didn't know why Dad didn't call her up to speak, but I trusted his judgment and beat feet out of there.
Chapter 17. It's time to end this. Adriana's POV.
The media reports exploded, and the Supreme Court issued a gag order as the lawsuits had hit. Unfortunately, the dark web didn't care about the gag order and continued to trend the headlines. The video had gone viral and had already been viewed 2 million times and climbing. Everyone wanted information on the mysterious girl in the video. The comments ranged from outrage to disbelief to outright bullying. People were either praising us or defaming us. We are preparing for attacks, divided into 3 teams, each team getting in place for simultaneous attacks on the 3 laboratories we had the locations of. Our techs had also located 7 hunters groups, and Daddy was arranging the attacks to take them down. We would be in on those, but they happen tomorrow. Again, in coordinated, synchronized attacks, so the enemy couldn't warn each other. Evander and I had our team in place at a facility in Colorado. Draco and his team were set to take Nevada, and Adrian, Draco's beta, was on the 3rd, with an entire team of his own. Evander sent in our stealth team to eliminate the off-duty guards. Roy had disabled the security, and Blake cut through the 8-foot-high fence, dressed all in black, fully geared and armored. We broke through the doors. 7 guards attacked as soon as we were through. Roy ran straight to the security center and disabled all the doors. The cell doors popped open. Shifters that were healthy enough helped those that weren't, rushing them up and out. Medics had arrived to treat them. A fairy stopped me and asked, "Are you her? The ones the guards said was coming?" The stupid scientist laughed. Guess he won't be laughing now. I hugged her and said, "I am her. Get topside, honey. A medic will treat your injuries." I ran down a long corridor. checking the sleeping quarters, killing 3, back down to the lower level, checking every cell. I found 3 deceased shifters. My heart broke. Evander helped me get them topside, and he told Blake to bring the van. I want pictures of these 3. We need to identify them and notify their next of kin. We ran back inside, grabbing files and hard drives, searching for any and every form of research we could find. Blake and our team ran through, breaking beams to collapse the building in on itself. Once we were back topside, I summoned the earth and felt the ground upheave and shudder. It caved in, then filled back out, as if this facility never existed. An excavator would be needed to find evidence. We headed home 3 hours after the onset of the attack. Not bad for a night's work. Hopefully, our message will start getting across. We are praying for more information on the money trail. That is an aspect we haven't uncovered yet, and Aurora really wants it before she heads to court. We pointed fingers at the government. Now we need to back it up. We flew directly to Luna Lake with the survivors we rescued. The lake is their best chance at healing completely, and I want to offer that to them. Xander and Daddy met us in the clearing, and we waited until the medical evac trucks arrived. The 12 people we rescued were all in various stages of debilitation. The fairy, whose name turned out to be Aurelia, was the first one I brought into the water. I began my chant. At the same time, Xander was helping a werepanther heal. Daddy had 2 wolves, a hand on each one, Evander helping him hold them in the water, submerging them when necessary. By the time everyone was recovering in the infirmary, their families had been notified and had begun arriving. Everyone tearfully thanked us and headed home. An overwhelming sense of accomplishment filled me. This is my purpose. I walked to Evander, and he pulled me into his arms. I told him this. This right here is why I survived, Evander. To help all supernatural species. It has to stop, and I am the catalyst. That is why I didn't die. He kissed me long and deep, with as much passion as he always does. But now it held a promise of forever, and I know he will support me. For the rest of our lives, Draco and Adrian arrived with survivors, and we needed to heal them. Aurora was contacting families, packs, covens, wherever the people needed to get back to. It has been a good night. By daybreak, everyone was well on their way to healing. Family had arrived to take them home. I was standing under an umbrella of accomplishment and felt satisfied, exhausted, but grateful. We decided to sleep at Luna Lake. Since tomorrow night, or technically tonight, we take out the hunters. It's time to end this.
Chapter 18, That I Can Explain. Evander's POV.
We left just before dark. It is time for the hunter to become the hunted. Abram is with us, even though Adriana begged him not to put himself in jeopardy. But he told her he needed to observe how his warriors interacted with her. His whole pack are still on probation for the way they treated her. We reached our hunter's hideout and waited for word from the other teams. We opted to go full bore. No stealth this time. I want these assholes to know real fear, to know how it feels to be hunted. When word came and the other 6 teams were ready, Dad yelled into our 2-way, "Attack on my command. 5, 4, 3, 2, go, go, go." And we charged the compounds. Adriana was firing her 9mm and her 45, one of them from her hip. Deadly accurate, even at a dead run. Our plan is to take the leader and his second into custody. We need information, and the best way to get it is word of mouth. Anna reached the center of the compound, busting through the doors of the command center. I was on her heels. She recognized the leader immediately. She grinned, a terrifying grin, and said, "Well, would you looky here? This is what I call karma came to call. You kidnapped me, and now you get to be my prisoner. Poetic, no. I am going to enjoy making you squeal like the pig you are. I shivered. Damn, that voice is scary. Dad came through the two-way, and I responded at the same time everyone else did, with Operation Takedown successful. We marched our prisoners out, and I ordered, take any vital information and raze this place to the ground. Destroy everything. Leading them out, I secured them to D-rings welded into the floor of the van, shackling them in a sitting position. The leader spit on me, so I punched him in the head. He's sleeping now. I watched as laptops and files were loaded into another van, and then everything was burning. Adriana knelt to the earth and dug her fingers into the soil, offering a prayer of apology. Once the fire was out, a wind blew through, brisk and strong, blowing the ashes toward the west, to land over the ocean. Then she summoned the rain, allowing it to wash the land clean. As the rain stopped, the earth was green and blooming again. Dad said, "What the fuck was that? I'm soaked." I started laughing, trying to explain that my magnificent mate had healed the land. It was as if no damage had occurred. If not for the saplings that used to be full-grown trees. We arrived back at Arconium just before sunrise. We'd driven all night without stopping. Dad was already there. His prisoners in the cells. Eric took our two out of the van, then proceeded to drag them by the hair of their heads to the cells. He locked them in, directly opposite of the two Dad had brought in. We met in the conference room, eating breakfast from a cart of food cook had sent in. The techs were setting up the big screen, so I had hopes they had found something pertinent. They showed us a money trail. An offshore account was authorizing transfers of large sums of money. Each account the money was deposited to led to dummy corporations that were incorporated. Yet one name kept popping up as the authorized depositor. Asilas Masters. Raising my eyebrow, I asked, "The director of operations in the CIA? Are you certain?" Roy then pulled up video surveillance from one of the banks. And sure enough, time-stamped, weekly visits showed him entering the bank and walking out with a briefcase. Video inside the bank showed money being placed in the briefcase, so he was delivering cash. To where? I asked, where do we find the proof of where the money goes after he walks out of the bank? Roy said, I have deposits. Each of the hunters' leaders. I am assuming that's how they pay their men. In our cells, we have two men, Matthew Edwards and Philip Jones. As you can see, both names are on the deposits list. Adriana said, Matthew is the leader of the group that abducted me when I was 13. So he's been at this for a while. He's mine to interrogate. I want a little payback. That man used to beat me. Every morning. I mean, most people need coffee to wake up. He beat me to accelerate his adrenaline. I growled and said, you can interrogate, but I will kill him. Painfully. As your mate, I claim my right. Mom said, simmer down. We aren't killing them yet. I need them. I don't know how this lawsuit will play out. I'm not saying you can't have fun with those guys. I'm just saying, keep them alive for now. Adriana said, what if I almost kill him? Then heal him at the lake? We all started laughing. And Mom said, no, lovely, but you can break a few bones. I can have him in court in casts. That I can explain.
Chapter 19. Tread carefully. Third-person POV.
Everyone was back in the conference room. Evander's landline rang. They all looked at each other and Eric said, who the fuck has that number? I don't think I have heard it ring my entire life. He answered it, Alpha Evander Arconium. The voice said, Mr. Ruff Arconium, this is President Pog. Evander said, Alpha Arconium, Mr. President. Please use my title. We do not use human titles. President Pog replied, "Pardon me, please. I have not been apprised of proper protocol. I would like to get a message to the king. However, we have no phone numbers available." Evander responded, "As per our treaty with your government, we do not have to provide personal details. We govern ourselves. I will, of course, as a courtesy, this one time, allow you to speak with my father. As he is with me, please hold." He pressed the hold and asked, "What the fuck does the human president want with us?" Adriana is shaking. She's laughing hysterically. "You just put the president of the United States on hold. Goddess, I love you." Draco unholds the call and says, "This is King Draco Arconium. State your business." Mr. President Pog responds with, "It has come to my attention there has been a misunderstanding between the dragons and my administration. I would like to meet with you to resolve any issues amicably." Draco laughs. "A misunderstanding? Mr. President, there has been no misunderstanding. The director of your CIA has been funding medical testing, DNA altering, and abductions of all species. What's to misunderstand?" Pog replied, "I assume you have proof of this, else you wouldn't bring it up. I fail to see what that has to do with dragons, though. No dragon has ever been in captivity." Draco snarled, "So you aren't even going to invoke plausible deniability? Fascinating. I assumed that was the standard response of your office in the face of any atrocity. And no dragon has ever been in captivity. It's been tried. It was a mistake. Humans are treading on thin ice with the supernatural world. I can quote a minimum of 10 violations to the treaty off the top of my head. Not a good track record, and tantamount to a declaration of war." Pog responded, "I can assure you, King Draco, we do not want a war. A civil war could destroy our country. Over 200 civilian doctors and military personnel have been lost over the past 2 days. Are you telling me dragons are involved? In that instance, is that not a declaration of war in and of itself?" Draco snarled, "Are you daft, man? Of course we are involved. We initiated the raids on the illegal facilities funded by your government, allowing all supernaturals to be tortured, tested, altered. Not volunteers, kidnap victims. More than 2,000 have died. Did you think I would sit idly by and allow that to happen? So enlighten me, Mr. President. What exactly did you believe would happen when it was brought to my attention?" Pog responded, "I was wholly unaware species interact with one another. Be that as it may, the fact remains humans are being murdered. It behooves me to demand you cease and desist any further action, or we will have to re-examine the treaty and act accordingly." Draco sneered, "A threat? You are issuing a threat against me? You see, I am not only the king of dragons, I am the elected spokesperson for all supernatural species. Harming one harms us all. Tread carefully, Mr. President. The treaty was our idea. We reached out to the humans of our own accord. Re-examine it to your heart's content. We will concede nothing more. As far as an order of cease and desist, consider it issued to your administration. One more attack, one more kidnapping, one more death, and resolve yourselves. War will be declared." Pog snarled, "I had hoped we could come to an arrangement. Yet you threaten me. That will not stand, King Draco. My people will not tolerate it." Draco chuckled, "Mr. President, I issued my threat after you had threatened me. By abducting the supernaturals, you committed an act of aggression. By murdering them, you committed a violation of our treaty. It is considered a hostile act. Did you not read the fine print, President Pog? I fear your people initiated hostile contact initially. My people simply retaliated, And rest assured, should anything of this sort happen in the future, it will be considered a declaration of war. Supernaturals are as militarized as humans, more so than you can possibly imagine. Your missiles would be useless. 100 armed men stand no chance against 10 supernaturals. We outnumber you 3-1. Like I said, tread carefully. Blake muttered. King just opened a can of whoop ass on the humans. Everyone laughed.
Chapter 20 Do It. President Pog's POV.
The Oval Office is in a frenzy. Pog is throwing things, threatening his staff. He yells, Silas, what did you do? Get me a copy of that fucking treaty. I need to know every word it says. That goddamn dragon played me. I won't stand for it. Silas whined. It's the girl, Mr. Prior President. She instigated it. Involve the dragons. We will handle it. Pog asks, what girl? That child that escaped a year ago? That girl? How is she involved? Silas looks over at the man on the sofa. Hicks, you said you could handle her when the king's son offered to help her. What the fuck happened? Hicks muttered, how was I to know she was his mate? I had it arranged. I was going to mate her to Alpha Roger, and we would all win. He would control the girl. He would have a pack, and I would control Luna Lake. Pog said, well, that fucking backfired. Now, didn't it? Bring me the treaty, Silas. I won't tell you again. I have to find a way around this. That fucking video of the attack has hit over 4 million views, and our hackers haven't been able to take it back down. Hicks said, I might have an idea on how to circumvent war, Mr. President. Pog sneered at him, of course, because everything you've tried so far has been successful. Silas came back in with the treaty, handing it to Pog. As he sat reading it, he huffed every now and then, snorted a couple times. Then he looked up. He told them, everything he said is accurate. There has been 13 violations that I have read so far, the least of which being harm of any kind. They were thorough. Crimes against the supernatural include kidnapping, sexual assault, molestation, essentially physical harm of any kind. Deliberately causing a death is an act of war. Attacking covens, hordes, enchantments, or packs, without provocation, an act of war. He said they are more militarized than we are. What do we know about their defenses? Anything useful? Silas said, they have the same weapons as we do, but they also have magic, powers. Witches can shield entire packs. They utilize the same technology we do. So, an outright war would be difficult to win. There would be many casualties. Pog said, fuck. We have to find a way to subvert the supernaturals. There must be something. Chemical warfare. Hicks tells him, I can practically guarantee Draco already have his chemists working on antidotes for any poisons you might try. His mate is smart, cunning. She will know everything you might try. She knows your laws inside and out, as well as she knows our laws. Pog yells, don't tell me I've lost before I began. Figure something out. I will not simply turn this country over to a bunch of freaks. Fuck that. What's next? World dominance? Silas calms him, tries placating him. The vampires wouldn't allow that. They own Europe. Pog screams, what? If they ally with him, we are fuked. Why did I not know about vampires? The fuck? Hicks said, they have a treaty. They are allowed the entire European continent, as long as they cause no trouble in the Western Hemisphere. They're nasty creatures. Pog sighs, okay, Hicks, you said you might have a way. What is your idea? He shrugs and says, if you cease trying to abduct and test the supernatural species, Draco will leave humans alone. Just so you know, my idea would be to charge her with a crime. It has to be something she has to be tried in human court for. Once you have arrested her, You can secret her away, where she can't be found. But again, that's not a guarantee either. She is the future queen of dragons after all. Salus responds, that could work. We could hold her hostage until he signs a new treaty, one that benefits us. Make it where he can never declare war or retaliate against humans. We would have him over a barrel, forcing him to our side. Pog sat quietly. A half hour passed, then another 15 minutes, before he said, we don't have any other choice. I don't like it. It may be a bluff he calls. Do it.
Chapter 21. We will see you in court. Adriana's POV.
Mom and I had been updating our arsenal, working on antidotes for any poisons the human army might try. I asked the metal smith to make arrows. I plan on using exploding arrowheads. He is also fashioning armor for our non-combatants. Draco has arranged another press conference, but the reporters have to come to us again. We are sticking close to home because Evander believes I will be a target. As the one who got away, I am looking for Evander to surprise him. I am a little fidgety and nervous, but we love each other, so I'm also over the moon happy. I rounded the corner of the house and saw him sparring with Eric. That man-beast is all mine, I wolf whistled, and he was grinning before he jumped out of the ring. He grabbed me and swung me around. He chuckled. I love you, my beautiful princess. I grinned and responded, you'd better. You're going to be a daddy. He hollered and swung me around again and asked, are you? Are we? We're going? You're pregnant? I giggled and nodded. He yelled again, then howled. He shouted, everyone, we're pregnant. The Arconium heir is on the way. Mom and Dad came running outside. She was crying, my first grandbaby. Oh my goddess, Draco, our first grandbaby. I am so happy. She pulled me into her arms and cried on my shoulder. Evander leans down and whispered, I think she's happy, and I giggled again. Draco grabbed me and swung me in a circle, like Evander had done. You have made us so happy, my daughter. A blessing indeed. Aurora asked, when will we know the gender? And I told her, in 2 weeks. I am 7 weeks now. She squealed again. Oh, goddess, we only have 3 months. You need to call your daddy and brother right away. The baby has to be born in the lake. Correct? We have to make arrangements. Don't want to be caught up short. I asked her, how did you know that? I mean, yes, I have to give birth in the lake. But not many know that. She grins and says, I read a lot. Draco laughed and told me, she once told me the same thing when she told me about her dragon bombs. I am puzzled. Why would they need dragon bombs? And asked it out loud. He told me about Michelson and how it was raining naked men all across the battlefield. I laughed. Leave it to Aurora. It was, however, a visual image I could have lived without. Members of the press had begun to arrive, and we were greeting them at the door when we received a mind link that Councilman Hicks was at the gate with the Attorney General of the United States. Evander said to let them through. Draco looked at the reporters and said, I know you came here for a conference, but if you ready your cameras, you will have an exclusive story in about 5 minutes. They immediately set up, asking no questions. A council car pulled up. Hicks and another man got out. They approached us, and the other man said, Adriana Mosley, I am Attorney General Jacob Sloan. Draco growled, address her properly. Luna Princess Adriana Arconium. Sloan said, yes, well, respect is not due a murderess. Adriana Mosley, you are hereby under arrest for the murders of DRS, Richardson, Williams, and McElroy. I have a warrant that says I am to take you into custody and return you to Washington, D.C. Aurora snatched the warrant, reading it over. Then she says, "My client is not leaving my custody. She will remain in her home, under my authority. The human government has no jurisdiction here. I expect all evidence and discovery on my desk by morning." Hicks stepped up and said, "I am afraid you are wrong, Queen Aurora. That's why I am here. Adriana, you will come with me. It is Council's right to detain you." Draco snarled, "The Council has no authority in my kingdom. My son severed ties with the Shifter Council months ago. You are, in fact, trespassing on hallowed ground. Hicks, you've overstepped your boundaries and signed your own death warrant in the process." Evander was reading the warrant. Then he handed it to me. I said, "These doctors," and I use the term loosely, "were guilty of torturing me, beating me, altering my genetics makeup for 5 years. I killed them, most definitely, to save my own life. They started torturing me at 13. I killed them 2 weeks before my 18th birthday, as I was escaping my hell." Aurora smirked. "She killed them, in self-defense, while she was still a minor? Prepare your case as best you can, Attorney General. Email me the date. We will see you in court."
Chapter 22. It's a Date. Evander's POV.
The press conference is set up, and I took the first half of it. I sat in front of 30 reporters and asked them all to save their questions for the end. What I am about to tell you will not be addressed by the human government, or at the very least, it will be denied. They will claim it is falsehoods and lies. The human government, to date, have broken 14 of the 20 conditions we agreed upon with them over 20 years ago. On our official website, you will find an authentic copy of that treaty. Today the human government, tried to arrest my mate, my wife, on murder charges. She admitted to killing the 3 people she is being charged for. Those doctors used her from the age of 13 as a lab rat. They injected her with steroids, strength-enhancing adrenaline, as well as DNA from other supernatural species. She was 13. This continued for 5 years, when they tried again. 2 weeks before her 18th birthday, she broke free and killed them. She then rescued 15 other supernaturals, going through a lot of the same things she had gone through. She then destroyed the entire facility. Had she not done what she did, the 3 people she killed would most likely have killed all the other victims she rescued, as well as dying herself. Now ask yourselves, what would you have done? The United States obviously wants a war with the supernaturals. I am here to tell you, because they will try to tell you differently, we do not wish harm to any humans. We are asking that you do not engage yourselves in a war with us. It is a battle you cannot win. Stay in your homes or leave to a secluded area. Barring that, you are welcome to seek sanctuary with the supernaturals. We want all humans safe. We are the ones who initiated contact 2 decades ago, hoping to allay any fears you may have of our kind. We wanted to coexist in peace and harmony. This administration has decided they do not want that." A reporter in the back asked, "How do we know this is not just propaganda being told to us by you, so you can easily win a war against us?" I smiled and responded, "We don't need to warn you war is coming, nor do we have to warn you to hide. We are secure in the knowledge that we have tried to keep you safe. We did not instigate this fight. Your government did. Follow their lead, or don't. We know what we are capable of. It isn't bragging when it is fact." Another reporter asked, "How do we humans go about asking for asylum? I know I don't want to be involved in a war on our home soil. I have children." I replied, "Go to our website. Details are posted for you to follow. We are doing what we can to keep you safe." My father now has something to say. Thank you for your patience. I stood up and sat beside Adriana, pulling her into my lap. She kissed my neck and promptly dozed off, making me chuckle. Draco sat down. He immediately started talking. Here we are again. I have a request. An odd one, so bear with me, if you will. As a show of good faith, and to prove we have nothing to hide, I am requesting 2 human reporters to stay with us. Exclusivity to every aspect of our lives will be yours to report on. All we ask is that your reports are all either live, or we be allowed to review the final edit before it airs. We have nothing to hide, and we would appreciate our story being told by an objective observer. The reporter who had asked about Sanctuary earlier asked, "Could my children stay with me here?" She was told absolutely. She smiled and nodded. "I would appreciate this opportunity, King Draco." He nodded and said, "Go with the gentleman you see at the door. He will get you all set up." A man in the front row asked, "May my wife be able to stay?" And he was told the same thing. And just like that, we had 2 human reporters telling our story live. The conference was dismissed, and we had settled down for dinner. Adriana was quiet. I asked, "Are you worried, baby?" She shook her head. "No, pissed, and I don't know what to do with it." I grinned and said, "I can think of a way to work off that energy," wiggling my eyebrows. She giggled and said, "Okay." I laughed out loud. "It's a date."
Chapter 23. We're having a son. White House.
Pog is livid. He looked at Hicks and Sloane. "What the fuck were you thinking? Did you not see the fucking reporters standing right under your goddamned noses? You looked like fools. I told you it was too soon. Get a press conference set up immediately. I have to get in front of this." Not knowing a media release would happen at the same time as he was addressing the American public. He went into the conference, confident he could sway public opinion. Pog stood at the podium and spoke. "My fellow Americans, our nation faces a dire threat. The supernatural realm is threatening us with war. I am doing everything in my power to prevent this, but I am asking you, arm yourselves. Be prepared. They pose a very real threat to our way of life. An attempt to serve a warrant against a female werewolf today resulted in threats against our great nation. The woman is a murderess, and we have evidence pointing to accomplices. They refuse to release her to our custody, as well as refusing to release her to one of their own councilmen. That injustice cannot stand. We will bring this dangerous woman to trial. She will be convicted and made to pay for the murders of 3 esteemed scientists. We do not want a war with them. This administration does not seek it. We will, however, respond to any hostile action against us with aggressive retaliation. Rest assured we are doing everything in our power to keep you safe. That is all." He walked away, not taking any questions, by the time he returned to the Oval Office. Word had reached his press secretary of the broadcast by King Draco. She said, "We look like asses. We are polling, but the numbers aren't good. Over half are in support of the supernaturals. You need to stay out of the public eye for a few days. Let this die down." Sloane said, "I will set the trial date for 2 months out. That should give us enough time to get on top of the situation. I need to email her attorney, and she has asked for discovery and evidence, as well as witness lists." Pog said, "Give her nothing. They don't live by our laws. Why should we live by theirs?" Hicks said. "Because then you are preventing due process, and that will turn your entire justice system on its ear. The precedents a case like that will set will have the courts tied up in appeals for decades." Sloane nods. "He's right. I will send her our evidence. Certain parts redacted. All I have to do is get this bitch in court. I will trip her up. Make her look bad. It will sway public opinion, and the supernaturals will be seen in a negative light, perceived as threats." Pog snarled, "The 2 of you better be right. I am not going to be walking on eggshells the rest of my term. Back at Draconium, the female reporter is named Colleen Duncan, and her 2 kids are monsters. But Adriana is patient. While Blake tells them dad jokes that they don't understand, Blake asks the little girl, "Know the difference between a hippo and a zippo?" She shakes her head. He answers, "A hippo is really heavy, but a zippo is a little lighter." She didn't giggle, or even crack a smile. She just looks at Adriana, who is trying not to laugh, as she smacks Blake in the back of the head, which made the little girl actually giggle. Blake groans. Ah, sure, violence makes her happy, making Adriana laugh that time. The little boy throws another tantrum because his shoe came untied. Adriana tied it and said, "Okay, time to locate your mama. She's going to have to put you both in daycare. I ain't doing this shit on the daily." They found Colleen filming and interviewing some pack members, and the little girl tattled, "Luna said shit, mommy." Adriana facepalmed and walked away, while Blake cracked up, following her. Evander found his mate, lying down in their room. "Rough day?" she HMs and said. "If our kid acts as entitled as Colleen's too, his ass is going to be sore for a week. Those 2 are undisciplined little curtain climbers that need a good spanking. So I put myself in a timeout." He laughed and said, "Our baby will be an angel." She asked him, "What planet do you live on?" He laughed at her again, said, "Come on, I will give you a bath." They had a doctor's appointment, so she agreed a bath would help. When the doctor did the ultrasound, she pointed out the baby. His heartbeat was strong. He was active and healthy. She snapped several pictures and told them, "I see we have our future alpha. It's a beautiful baby boy, Luna." Her eyes filled with tears and kissed Evander. She whispered, "We have a son, baby." He was smiling from ear to ear.
Chapter 24, The Trial. Evander's POV.
Mom walked into the office fuming. I laid my pen down and waited. We are 4 days away from Adriana's hearing. The Attorney General sent a packet of redacted material that had no substantial information she could work with. I know she's frustrated. She started to open her mouth when Roy rushed into the room. "Queen Aurora, I found it. The last hard drive finally decoded. The encryption was so sophisticated, I wasn't sure we could do it." Mom muttered, "Okay," and Roy jumps. Oh yeah, I was excited. "Sorry, I am printing out the rest of it. But here." Handing her a file, Mom opened it and started reading. She glanced up Adriana's case file. Roy nodded. "Everything is in there. Everything they did. Her reactions. Her recovery time. Everything." Mom jumped up and hugged him. "I could just kiss you. Thank you. Finally. Something I can sink my teeth into." She ran out the door past Adriana. As she waddled in, I smiled at my very pregnant, very beautiful mate. She groaned. I pulled her into my lap and rubbed her back. I said, "I'm worried, love. We have to fly out in the morning. It could put you in labor. I know Doc is coming with us, but I still worry." She nods in agreement and said, "Don't worry, my love. He won't come for 8 days." She laid her head back on my shoulder and dozed off right away. I don't know how she knows things. She just does. We boarded the flight. Mom, Dad, Abram, with Blake and Adrian. We have 10 warriors with us. Doc had the bed made up in the back, so Adriana was rested. When we arrived, our rental vehicles were waiting. Dad had ordered 5 armored subs, blacked out windows with bulletproof glass. We are taking no chances. We got checked in and waited for Colleen to arrive. She is going to cover this hearing for us, so we are assured a fair story. We had a nice quiet dinner and an early night, having to be at the courthouse at 9. I wanted Adriana rested. Mom kissed us good night. and told us not to worry. She laughed and said, "This is just a dog and pony show. They want to parade us around and try to paint us as bloodthirsty monsters. Well, surprise, we have more manners than any human." I snuggled into my mate and kissed her. She sleepily says, "Avery doesn't like fish." I am confused. Avery is our son's name, but I don't remember ever having fish. Not for months. When she's sleepy, she has a habit of blurting out things that have no relevance, so I just snuggle down and doze. At 8:30, we were stopped by security and told we weren't allowed in the courtroom with Adriana and Mom. Abram stood taller and wider than I have ever seen him. He growled, "My daughter does not enter that courtroom without her guard. This is not a closed hearing, and you do not have the authority to deny us entry. Either we all go in or we all go home." The guard cowered away, and I nearly laughed out loud. I told him, "Damn, Dad, you got a mean streak." He nodded. "These humans will never cause harm to my little girl again." I believed him. The hearing got underway, and Mom was objecting to everything Sloane said, a tactic she uses to get under someone's skin. When he said Adriana was being tried by a jury of her peers, Mom objected. "Your Honor, seriously, a jury of her peers? I was never even told of the jury selection. Therefore, I was deprived of the opportunity to poll them. They cannot be her peers unless they're shifters. Are they shifters?" The judge said no, and she sat back down. A prosecution presented their case, and every witness he produced, Mom only asked one question: "Have you ever met Adriana Mosley?" And the answer was always no. When it was the defense's turn, Mom called every one of the 15 that Adriana had rescued. They all told the same heinous story, implicating the dead doctors. They stayed true, even on cross-examination. Then Mom introduced into evidence the file with every experiment and torture inflicted on Adriana, handing a copy to each juror so they could follow along. At one point, the judge excused himself to throw up. The judge dismisses the case out of hand and lectured Sloane on wasting the court's time, and we walked out. As we walked down the steps, a shot rang out, but with our heightened senses, we heard it. A warrior pushed Adriana into my arms and took the round in his shoulder. Dad roared, and Donna was in the air to the rooftop where a sniper was trying to run. Donna grabbed him and landed back on the street. He shifted back and growled so loud the windows shook. "This man is my prisoner. When I find out who ordered this hit, heads will roll. You tell your president if he wanted war, then war he shall have." He shoved the man in the back hatch of the SUV and knocked him out. We arrived at the airport, Doc working on our warrior. The bullet was dipped in wolfsbane. Adriana said, "Tell the pilot to get us to the lake, although it would be faster on Argon." Dad said, "No, we can't risk another sniper." We landed at Luna Lake within 2 hours, and our warrior was barely holding on. Adriana and I got him into the water, and she began her chant. Soon Abram and Xander both joined us, taking turns with chanting. 10 minutes later, the warrior was sitting at the edge of the lake, with Xander's hand on him until he could stand on his own.
Chapter 25. That's never happened before. Adriana's POV.
We stayed at Luna Lake. Our warrior was resting, and I was having contractions. We were watching the television, showing what happened in front of the courthouse. Colleen was reporting, and the cameraman kept zooming in on Dad's package. I took a giggling fit and said, "That's all anyone is going to remember. A naked king, dancing in the street. Goddess, that's hilarious." Mom started laughing and told him, "Now I'm going to be beating human women off with a stick. And no, not yours," making me laugh harder. The president came on, rambling about what happened at the courthouse, how sorry he was. He's going to find out what happened and who did it. Xander said, "Ugh, Turn him off. He really is in love with his own voice. Daddy said, No, Draco, you gotta hear this. President Pog said, King Draco, you have my deepest condolences for your guard. My heart goes out to his family. I vow to you, we will get to the bottom of this. I must ask you return the gunman. The crime happened in my city. He is governed by humane laws. I guarantee justice will be served. Evander said, They believe our warrior is dead. I can almost guarantee you turn that sniper over to him. They will make him disappear. And not in a Bahamas vacation kind of way. Dad told us they aren't getting him back. At least, not yet. Matter of fact, he should be awake. Time for a little chat. He turned and walked out, Evander and Daddy following. Xander took one of my feet, Blake the other, rubbing the soreness out. Mom said, I'm going to find us a snack. Be back in a minute. She wasn't gone 20 seconds when a loud slap was heard, then whimpering. I told Blake to go check. He was back a couple minutes later. Queen Aurora slapped some girl named Connie for making a smart-ass comment of some kind. Now she's sitting in a corner crying, and the queen is humming. Scrambling eggs. I giggled, but Xander jumped up and ran to the kitchen. I heard him yell, Go to your quarters now, Connie. What has the alpha told you about your smart fucking mouth? Expect discipline this time. Adriana is my sister, bitch. I am done. And Connie ran past us like her ass was on fire, making Blake laugh again. Evander came in just as I had finished my eggs. He lifted me into his lap, breathing in my scent. I knew it was bad news, so I just let him calm down. He will tell me when he's ready. Daddy and Dad came in next. Dad sat down and pulled Mom to him. Okay, this is looking bad. Daddy said, You were his target, Pumpkin. The man doesn't know who hired him. He is a black ops hitman for the CIA. Still can't believe he missed. According to him, he never misses out. Draco called Roy here. He showed us how he's contacted, and we're hoping Roy can trace the sender's IP address from the guy's phone. I asked, Are you handing him over to Pog? Draco shook his head. He knows he's a dead man if he goes back. Said he doesn't exist anyway. Their entire identities are strict when they go covert. I asked again, So, then what? Sanctuary? Evander nods. He can help us. He's given us a lot of information so far. We know where 2 more facilities are, offshore, on abandoned oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. Mom said, I want everything from those laboratories. They are illegal as fuck. The CIA is not supposed to be operating covertly on American soil. Their sole purpose is to operating outside the domestic United States. Roy walked in, grinning. Yo, King, nice way to wave to the crowd. You sure know how to make an entrance. We all laughed with him. We all stood up to go to bed, and a rush of water ran down my legs. I gasped, Oh no, I peed my pants. Xander groaned, Gross, sis. Thanks for sharing. And Mom said, We're having a baby. Evander and I said, What? She laughed and said, You didn't pee, honey. Your water broke. A contraction hit me and I moaned. Holy shit, this hurts. And Evander scooped me up. Running for the lake, he waded in and sat down, holding me close. I was breathing easier now, the lake's healing waters calming the pain of contractions. They were coming frequently, but they were only mild cramps now. I removed my leggings and panties. Evander pulled his shirt off and slid it over my head. He kept kissing me. Tears shimmered in his eyes, and he whispered, We're going to meet our son, baby. I love you both. So much. I could have lost you today, and I know I'm being needy. Just let me, okay? Please? I smiled and said, I need you too. Hold me close. You have to catch our baby." His eyes went as round as saucers, and he said, "No, I don't know how. I've never done this before." I laughed and said, "Me either." Doc arrived with her medical kit and almost stepped into the lake. Mom grabbed her. "You can't. You have to wait for a Mosley." Daddy walked the doc into the lake and stood with his hand on her shoulder. Avery slid into the lake. She let Evander cut the cord and then laid him on my chest. I burst into tears at his precious face. Evander kissed his little head and tilted his head to the sky. He whispered, "Thank you, goddess." A moonbeam shined down and lit the three of us with its warmth. Daddy said, "That's never happened before."
Chapter 26. We're done playing. Evander's POV.
Avery is growing like a weed. In the past 2 months, he's gained 3 pounds. Adriana is healed completely and has taken over warrior training with Blake. Eric and I are in my office with Dad and Adrian. We're mapping out the raids on the offshore labs. We don't know how much security we will be facing. Our dragons can fly under cover of darkness, so stealth isn't an issue. Adriana wants to come with us, but I want her to stay with the baby. It's a point of contention, so I am trying to negotiate with her. Dad asked, "Is Anna still planning on going with us?" At my nod, he continued, "It's difficult for her son. She's invested. After 5 years of going through it, she wants them all safe." Eric said, "I can understand that. I do. She doesn't like the thought of anyone suffering what she went through. She watched too many die. A feeling of helplessness drives her." I thought about that. Looking at it through her eyes, then I understand. I mind-linked her to come to the office. When she walked in, I held my hand out, and she came immediately to me. Sitting in my lap, I told her our plans and said, "We leave in 2 hours. We are taking the plane to Galveston. Then fly Dragon from there, once it's dark." Dad said, "It's too risky to go Dragon all the way, especially in daylight. That sniper was a CIA covert operative, so it's safe to assume Silas Matthews or someone higher up ordered the hit." Adrian said, "I am looking into Councilman Hicks. I want to know everything about that man. He's in it up to his eyeballs. He's a traitor to all of us." Adriana left to pump milk, making sure the baby had enough to last until we returned. Mom would keep him with her because we simply don't trust anyone else. Abram is sitting this one out. He had an influx of humans seeking sanctuary he's dealing with. We geared up and gathered our troops. Eric isn't happy about staying home again. But should anything happen to Dad and me, he will be king. He has to stay back. We're flying the cargo plane this time, making sure we have enough room for survivors, and Doc can triage any who are in bad shape. We secured our equipment and gear, and were ready to take off when the High Priestess of Ultima Coven appeared. "King Draco, my coven was attacked last night. 3 of my witches were taken. They caught us sleeping. We fought back, but there was too many. We killed several, but being outnumbered, it was too much." Dad said, "Bring your coven to Draconium. We will protect you. The Queen will provide what you need. And Ursula, spread the word. All supernaturals will need to be aware. This is escalating, and we all need to band together." We arrived in Galveston just before dark. I walked over to speak to the leader of the Clouder of Cougar Shifters. Manuel said they had been observing helicopters flying out to the abandoned drilling rig the last several days. Adriana asked if they had suffered any losses. He shook his head. "Not for 2 years. We were attacked and lost 2. 1 died and 1 was taken. I'm hoping she is on that rig." Adriana took his hand. "If she is, we'll bring her home." I smiled. My mate. Never a second's doubt we would prevail. I love her positivity. Now we're looking for 3 witches and a were-cougar. Going to be a busy night. The sun had set, and we were preparing to take off. I shifted into Argon. Adriana climbed onto my back, and a warrior handed her our weapons duffel. Manuel climbed on Danaw, holding their weapons cache. We leaped up and were airborne in seconds. Dad and his horde flew southwest. While we went east, I spotted the rig and went low, observing 4 men above deck. Landing in the water, we shifted, pulling on shorts, climbing up all 4 corners. We landed on the deck in sequence. Adriana walked to the center of the landing pad and whistled loudly. The guards spun on her, one demanding, "How did you get out?" She grinned and said, "By killing everyone. Now it's your time to die." She roundhouse kicked him, and he flew off the deck into the water. The other 3 charged her. She ripped one's head off. The other 2, she snapped their necks. While she did that, we had been disabling the cameras. Adriana pulled a keycard from one of the guards, and we entered the facility. None of us spoke. We were there to do a job and wanted to waste no time. Warren, our munitions expert, was placing bombs as we went. Adriana would detonate them once we were away. We didn't ask questions of anyone we met. We killed them. They were engaged in the murder of our kind. There was no reprieve. By the time we reached the cells, all the survivors were aware we had arrived. There was 7, only 1 witch, but she was in good shape and managed to help us get the other 6 ready for transport. Topside, the survivors secured on our backs, we took off. In and out, in under 20 minutes. As we flew northwest, Adriana hit the detonators. The night sky was alight in a huge fireball. This time, Pog will know we're done playing.
Chapter 27. War had begun. Third person's POV.
The president's phone rang in the middle of the night. He was informed the 2 remaining oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico had mysteriously exploded within minutes of each other. He jumped up and ordered a meeting of his Joint Chiefs. In that meeting, he discussed war with the supernaturals. The Secretary of Defense spoke, "Mr. President, what is our motivation? The supernaturals have worked alongside us peacefully for over 20 years. We have many of them in our military, stationed around the world. They have proven to be invaluable. They have never caused an issue, have always been respectful and resourceful." Pog raised his voice. "I have evidence they attacked 2 oil rigs in the Gulf and destroyed them." Homeland Security said, "Those were slated for demolition 6 months ago. Why would they destroy them? More importantly, why would they attack them? They were abandoned. What are we unaware of?" Pog now realized he would have to tell them what he had authorized and what had actually been happening. The Secretary of Defense uttered, "So, everything King Draco has been releasing to the press wasn't to incite violence like we have been told. Our government has betrayed them. Mr. President, I am resigning my commission, effective immediately. I cannot, in good conscience, order our military into battle. It would be a suicide mission." With that, he walked out. Back at Draconium, morning had everyone glued to the television. Adriana said, "The Secretary of Defense has resigned." Damn. Like rats from a sinking ship. We need to get word to all the supernaturals serving in the military. They're going to be targets if we don't bring them home. Roy jumped up, saying he will locate them. Since he was still hacked into the Adjutant General's personal files, at that moment, the roar of F-16s filled the air, and the whistle of bombs being deployed could be heard. The witches who had arrived last night stood outside chanting. The bombs detonated over the land, and glitter floated to the ground. War had begun.
The end.